But you don't have to be I've never had a double digit one. Yes.
Oh, you're terrible.
Okay, sorry, I think we're good now. Okay, so again, today was the last little section that we're gonna have a quiz on Friday. All right, I just have one section to show you about, and it's actually probably the most important one. It's the most common question that is on the SAT and ACT. It's dealing with the equation of a circle. So the first thing I want you to do is we're going to write the equation at the top. All right, and the equation looks something like this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Very simple. All right, h and k is the center of the circle, and obviously r is equal to the radius of the circle. All right, so h and k, notice this is negative h, but out here it's positive h. So that means those are just opposite values. Same thing over here. This is negative k, positive k. So h and k are the x and y coordinates of the center of the circle, and r is considered the radius. All right, that is just something you have to know, all right, in order to be successful. All right, so let's start with number one. All right, so who's gonna take a shot at number one? What's the center of the circle? Well, the center would be a ordered pair. Thank you. Yeah.
0, 0.
You are amazing. 0, 0. All right, and then the radius obviously would be what?
7.
7. That's how simple. That's all there is to it. Very easy, like I said. All right, so now we'll just go down the page. All right, let's take a look at number 3. All right, so someone who's been following along, tell me. Negative 2, 3 is the center. And then the radius is going to be square root of 183. Perfect, because it's not a perfect square. That's how simple.
Oh, wait, never mind.
Come on now. All right. So just to be sure, we're going to take a look at number 5. So the center here would be? And the radius?
6.
Yeah, I told you. It's really simple. Really, really simple. All right, super important. So now let's get wild and crazy. Number 7. And then? Perfect. All right, anybody have any questions? All right, so now obviously number 9 is what?
0, 0.
Sam, you're amazing. Now we have a problem here because it's not written in the proper format. All right, so we have to recall way back in last year when I was teaching you how to solve quadratics, we solve quadratics by factoring, we solve quadratics by quadratic formula, and we also solve quadratics by completing the square. And I said we usually don't use completing the square until we get later on when you start dealing with what's referred to as conic sections. Circle is part of a conic section. All right, you will discuss that in more details in Algebra 2. But right now, I'm going to show you how to transform this into what's referred to as the standard form for a circle. All right, so in order to do that, the x's must be grouped together. All right, and hopefully you'll kind of remember from last year, but so we're going to group the x's. So the first thing I want everybody to do is I want everybody to write down x squared. And then I want you to put plus 26x. Now, why did I put plus 26? Yeah, you have to move it on the same side, right? Then what we do is we say we skip a space or leave a space. Now you're going to group the y's together. So then this would be y squared plus 28y, leave a space, equals negative 364. All right, so if you're going to make yourself a note, you can just say you got to group the x's and group the y's, and the constant goes on the other side. All right, why does it go on the other side? Because remember, you're trying to get it into this format, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, and r squared is nothing more than the constant. All right. Now is why we call it completing the square. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a very good question. I have no idea why they call it H and K. All right, but H and K is standard on all functions. So eventually what you'll be doing is you'll be learning the transformations of all graphs. And the transformation is always f of x plus h, and then they always use k. All right, so the transformations, for whatever reason, are h and k. And again, that's a very good question. H and k, just what we normally do, and you'll learn this, is this we say is shifted to the right or to the left, and inside the y is shifted what? Up or down. All right, that's a very good question. Right or left is with the x, up or down is with the y. All right, but now getting back to this now. Now you are trying to make x squared plus 26x a perfect square. All right, now what is a perfect square? X minus h squared. That's a perfect square. All right, so how do you do that? From last year, I don't know if you remember this, because it was a small, it's always half of b and then you square it. Half of b and then you square. So what's half of 26? And then 13 squared. Thank you very much. So you're adding 169. Now, if I do that to the left side, I have to go ahead and put plus 169 over here. All right. Now we continue. All right. What's half of 28 and squared? Yes. So we're adding 196. Now, both of these, believe it or not, are now perfect squares. All right, those are perfect squares. In other words, they can be factored. All right, and when you factor it, I always tell kids that it always factors to whatever the half was. So what's the half of positive 26? So this is x plus 13 squared plus what? Y plus 14 squared equals, when you add that up, it looks like to me what? 1. Now again, I'm not saying that's hard math, but for whatever reason, that's a hard process. That's why we're going to do it. Practice quite a bit. All right, so you can remember the process. Now from there, you can just obviously now say that the center of the circle is located at what? At what again? Negative 13, negative 14, and it has a radius of what? 1. Yes. And again, guys, I'm really trying to tell you, you guys have standardized tests coming up. Those of you guys, we have lots of kids who want to get into Jesuits, lots of kids who want to get into Berkeley, lots of kids who want to get into the private schools. They're going to give you an entrance exam. All right. And I'm really trying to help you do very good on that. All right. So this is all a review. All right. You don't want to miss a step. All right. And say, wow, if I'd have just paid attention a little bit, I could have got that problem right. All right. So does anybody have any questions with number 9? It's very easy process. All right. But you just have to remember the half and square part. All right. So now let's look at number 11. Number 11 is kind of a mess because there's negatives. So again, I don't want the squares to be negative, so I'm going to move them over. Remember, your objective is to put the x's together, put the y's together, and then you want the leading coefficient to be positive. All right, so let's see if we can do that real quick. So according to my calculations, I've got x squared minus 6x, leave a space, plus y squared minus 32y, leave a space, equals negative 264. Now I really want you to practice that so you're moving things better. Anybody have any issues? That's not hard. All right, now let's just complete the square. To do that, you always just take half and square the middle term. Half and square the middle term. So what's half and square? Plus 9. Plus 9. Half and square. 256 plus 256. So now, written in standard form, that would be what? Now remember, I always tell kids it always factors to whatever the half was. Thank you very much. X minus 3 squared, perfect. Plus what? Y minus 16 squared equals, again, I don't know what, 1. Okay, so now we have what? 3 comma 16 with a radius equal to what? 1. Go. This value, that's a good question. This value is equal to r squared. So it's just the square root of 1. All right, don't think that it's just that number. All right, that's why I think they could have done a better job with that sum there. All right, so now we're going to identify the center and radius, and this time we're going to sketch the graph. And the reason why I love Notability is because it allows you to draw circles. All right, so everybody put up here, the center is located at what? And then the radius is 3. For those of you guys who have been paying attention, the radius is 3. Why is the radius 3? Because again, this 9 is equal to r squared, not r. So now we plot the point -1, 2, and then draw yourself a small circle, and then blow it up so it has a radius of 3. Nice. All right, that's how simple. Anybody have any troubles drawing the circles? All right. All right, here we go. Let's look at 15. Center again, guys. Help me. -1, -2, and a radius of 5. So let's do that. -1, -2. Looks good to me. Anybody have any trouble? Oh, wow, I did put it -2, -2. Thank you. So this should be right here. Perfect. Thank you. All right, here we go. Let's look at 17. Again, same situation. Don't make it a big deal. Center is what? With the radius of, all right, practice. Okay, here we go. Now, there's just lots of practice here, guys. All right, so I'm going to continue down. I'm going to try to do all of the odds again, and then you just have the evens for homework. All right, I really want to practice this with you because tomorrow I have a whole lesson on all of the SAT questions. All right, yeah. Well, you just have to estimate where 5 halves and square root of 14 is. All right, it's kind of a silly problem, but. Okay, here we go. Everybody take a look at number 1. All right, here we go. Let's write it. X squared plus 8x, leave a space, plus y squared minus 2y, leave a space, equals 64. So half and square, what do we got? Plus 16. Half and square, plus 1. Everybody happy with that? And that always factors to whatever the half was. What's the half? X plus 4 what? Plus y what? Plus or minus? Minus 1 squared equals 81. So my center is -4, 1 with a radius of, yeah, I just don't think that's that hard. Now, listen, be honest with me now. I don't, 3, 5, I'm pretty happy. If we can do that, I don't care about doing 3 and 5. Is anybody struggling? Anybody have any issues? What? No, because listen, sometimes Algebra 1, when they teach the vertex form of completing the square, you have to do plus and minus. But think about it like this. If I say x equals 3, and then I add 1 to the left side, I would have to do what? Add 1 to the right side. You remember that now? Right. I think what you're thinking of is when you had, for example, when we did it with parabolas, which we're going to do fourth quarter, is like if we had to complete the square, we do half and square, and then we put a -4 on this. But that was when it was on the same side of the equation. Okay. But this is putting on the other side of the equation, so you add the same thing. All right. Once again, good question. So I don't care about 3 and 5 unless someone is struggling. Anybody struggling? All right, here we go. So now we're going to write the equation. All right. So if I'm going to write the equation, that would simply be what? Someone? Plus what? Yeah, equals 16. Everybody good with that? All right. Anybody have any issues? All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about number 9. And then I'm just going to tell you, well, this is what the answer would be. And hopefully you'll want to avoid all the work and just realize what I'm saying, because to me, it was always obvious. I didn't need to do all the work, but I'm going to show you the work on the first one. So I need someone to tell me what the center of the circle would be for number 9. Go ahead, just tell me. 16, 6, and the radius is what? 1. Okay, so now if I move this circle 4 units to the left and 2 units up, what is the new center? 12. Wait a minute, translate it 4 units left. Wouldn't that be 12, right? And then if I move it up 2, it's going to be 8. Now, does the radius change? No, now come on. All right, try to stay with me and tell me you're okay with 12/8. Does anybody have any issues with 12/8? All right, so now let's rewrite the equation. So what would the equation be? Yeah, exactly. Right, yes, sir. But it's positive 16. You with me on that? And again, the biggest mistake kids make is they forget that these are opposites. You agree with me or not? All right. And the same thing here with this -6 and +6. So I just moved it, what? Left 4 and up 2. And now, left 4. Wow. So if I go left 4, I'm really what? I know, but from this equation to this equation, what am I doing? You're adding 4. And over here, what did I do? You subtracted 2. You subtracted 2. All right, so here are your options. Your options are to say, okay, here to here. So from the equation, you find the center, then you translate it, and then you put it back. Or you can kind of listen to what someone was asking me, I don't remember who it was, about, you know, it's in the opposite direction. All right, so notice here, this -16, all right, in our equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So whenever you're going inside the parentheses, it's always the opposite direction. Now, you can either remember that, or on your test, you would just find the center, you would shift it, and then you would put it back into the equation. Right? Is everybody with me on that? Those are your options. You can remember what I'm telling you about the shifting, or you can just find the center, shift the center, and then put it back to the equation. All right, I prefer to just go from this step right here to the answer, understanding that it's always the opposite direction. So if I'm going to move it 4 to the left, I'm going to do what? Add 4. If I move it up 2, that means I'm going to do what? Subtract 2. All right, hopefully that made sense for everybody. All right, number 11. Now we're going to have to try to figure this out. All right. So to me, the quickest way is to say, what's the highest point on the graph? And what's the lowest point? So the midpoint would be the center. So the y value of the center would be what? 3. And then I look at the x. The largest x is what? And the smallest is, so the middle of that is 0. So I now know 0, 3 is the center of the circle. And then from 0 to 3 gives me a radius of what? 3, right? You could also go what? You could also go up and say from 3 to 6 is also what? 3, or left is 3, or down is 3. All right, but then just put the radius as 3. And so there we have x squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 9. Yes, sir. Because I counted from 3 to, or from 0. You with me? The problem here is they're not counting by ones, right? That's why you got to be careful. All right, here we go. Let's check out 13. All right, so here we go. This is the diameter. So if I draw the diameter, how would I find the center? The average. And what is that called, though? No. It's a special word we use in like chapter 1. We're trying to find the what here? Yeah, we're going to find the average, but what is that called? It's not definitely not the median. Wow, you guys are killing me. Very good. Right, it's called the midpoint. All right, we're trying to find the midpoint. All right. Now, obviously, from negative 17 to negative 19, right, the middle of that would be, right, so the center is negative 18, comma, negative 9. All right, negative 18, negative 9. All right, so now I want everybody to write down, somebody tell me what the first half of the equation is. Go. X plus 18 plus, good, equals r squared. Now, we don't know what r squared is, all right? But you can say from negative 17, negative 9 to negative 18, negative 9, I just went what? I'm asking you, from the center to this point, I traveled how far? 1 unit. Did everybody see that? So the radius is 1. All right. Now, generally, the diameter in this case is, because the y values are the same, it's horizontal, right? So it's easy just to count, but it doesn't have to be horizontal. All right. And I'm trying to see if the other one's horizontal. No, it is not. So here's what I want you guys to remember. The best way to remember to find the radius is just to plug in, and I want everybody to listen to me. I need you to plug this point in for x and for y, and that will tell you what the radius squared is. All right, so if I plug negative 17 in, what's negative 17 plus 18? What's 1 squared? 1 plus, if I plug negative 9 in, I get what? 0 equals r squared. So we were still correct, but generally what you're going to do is you're going to plug a point into the equation, and then that will help you find r. Anybody have any issues with that? What? I'm not arguing with you on that. Yes, you're absolutely correct. But there's going to come a time when it's not set up like that, like on number 14. All right, you can't look at this and say what the, hey, you can't look at this one and say what the radius is because it's not a vertical or horizontal setup. You with me? So I want you to find the midpoint, then plug the point in, and it'll help you solve for r squared. All right, here we go. Number 15. All right, so we have the center. So let's go ahead and write the equation. What's the equation? X plus 15 squared plus what? Yeah, don't be confused just because there's a radical. Equals r squared. Well, I know the area is 2 pi. So what's the formula for area of a circle? What? Stop. Area of a circle. Thank you. Pi r squared. And they're telling you that is what? They're telling you that the area was what? 2 pi. Do you agree with that? So divided through by pi, and you get r squared is equal to what? Do I really care what r is? No, because I'm trying to write the equation, so I need what? R squared. So what is r squared? 2. R squared is 2. Now you could say r is the square root of 2, but I'm interested in r squared, not r. So now I can just rewrite it as x plus 15 squared plus y minus 3 radical 7 squared equals 2. All right, so here we go with 17. I'm pretty happy with this. All right, so on 17, what's the equation? What? Are you having trouble, Morty? Pi r squared equals 2 pi. Divide both sides by what? Pi. Okay, now over here, someone write the first half for me. Good. Equals r squared. Okay, equals r squared. There we have it. All right, now you have to remember what the circumference formula is. What's the circumference formula? But in this case, I'm just going to use 2 pi r because I'm interested in r, not d. Not that it really matters. So now we know that that equals 8 pi, so the radius must have been what? 4, correct? And if the radius is 4, now I just plug 4 in there. So now I can just say x plus 5 squared plus y minus 12 squared equals 16. Any issues? All right, number 19, here we go. All right, now again, here's a point on the circle. It doesn't matter, all right? So what do I do with the -7 and the -1? Plug it in. This is the x coordinate, this is the y coordinate. So if I plug it in, because we're brilliant at mental math, -7 minus 2 is what? Squared is what? 81 plus, plug in -1, what do I get? 16 equals r squared. So I know that r squared is equal to 97. So over here, I just come over here, grab the r squared, move it out of the way, and just put what? 97. All right? What's the matter? I didn't understand you. Shh. You mean, how did I get 81? I plugged -7 in for x, and I plugged -1 in for y. -7 minus 2 is -9, right? And then squares 81. Good with that? Okay. So now we have a little bit of issue, all right, a little bit of thought in this problem. All right, so the first part is not difficult, so we'll just write the first part, which is equals something. All right, now, if something is tangent, that means it touches x equals -17 at one point. All right, so the question is, how far am I from -17? How far is the center from -17? Now, again, I can't help you on that. That is a visual problem. I can graph it out for you, but I don't think it's necessary. All right, does everybody understand? If I'm at -15, 9, that's the center. The circle is tangent to the vertical line x equals -17. So from -15, 9 to -17 is how many units? 2. Is everybody okay with that? So that's the radius. So the radius is 2. So that means what goes? 4. Beautiful. Exactly. All right. Now, 23 is another visual. The center lies on the x-axis. So it's somewhere on the x-axis, but it's tangent to both of these. What kind of lines are these again? Vertical lines. Very good. Those are vertical lines from negative 13 and 7. If I were to draw something like this, this right here would be 7. This would be negative 13. So the center of the circle would be right in the middle. So I'm not asking for the radius. I'm asking what this coordinate would be right there. Say it again. Negative 3. Then what's the y value? 0. We know it's 0 because it's on the x-axis. So now, come on now. Listen, some of you just, there's no way for me to give you all the possible problems. You have to think on your own a little bit. That's what makes it a little bit more difficult. So if you're not understanding how I got negative 3, 0, you can ask me. I don't mind going over it. What? Do you understand x equals 7 and x equals negative 13 are vertical lines? So what is in the middle? In other words, watch what I should have done. I should have said, those are my two vertical lines. Now I'm going to draw a circle that's tangent to both of those. Right? So where is that center? Where should the center be? Right in the middle, right? So remember, anytime you want to find the middle, you're finding the average. What's the average of negative 13 and 7? Negative, right? You with me? And it also said it's on the y-axis. I mean, I'm sorry, it's on the x-axis. So if it's on the x-axis, that means the y value is, there you have it. You good now, right? So now, if I'm writing that equation, that becomes, help me, equals something. All right? So remember, this is the center. This is my radius. So what's my radius? Somebody else agree? It's 10. Now look, it's not doing any good just listen to someone and just write down 10. You need to calculate for your own that it's 10. Anybody have any problems with that being 10? This right here is 7, right? This right here, the x value is 7. So from negative 3 to 7 is how many units? Or you could say this over here is negative 13. From negative 3 to negative 13 is how many units? You see what I'm saying, right? All right. So again, it's calculate the center and then measure to the point of tangency. All right. And because that was 10, it's equal to what? It's equal to 100. All right. Now you guys know I don't really give you that much homework very much. All right. But listen, I really would like for you to try to go down and do the evens. All right. It's just for practice. It's a big part of standardized tests, the circle. All right. A big part. All right. I think tomorrow I'm going to pass out SAT tests. And then I'm just telling you up front, I'm just going to call you to my desk and I'm going to see how much you did of the evens here. All right. That's what I want, especially completing the square. All right. I know it's kind of boring. Once you get the hang of it, you can use your calculator. It's not really that big of a deal. All right. But I do think it's important. This is a big section. And I'm going to show you tomorrow. I copied a bunch of SAT and ACT questions dealing with circles. All right. So again, anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? All right. And once again, I really like our class because we get an extra, usually 10 minutes a day. So we still have 13 minutes. You got time to get some work done. 13 minutes. All right. Great job today.